I got to tell you this. You've never seen anything until you see Snoop blush. And we made Snoop blush one day. That's when he kissed Pam Grier for the first time. And it was, I knew I was hooking him up. I knew I was hooking you up. So, you know, he goes in and they're like, they're into it. And I just let it roll, let it roll, let it roll. And I said, cut. And you just did this like.
I couldn't believe it, cuz.
Which was amazing.
I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it, cuz. You put me on screen with Pam Grier, cuz. You just don't understand, Ernest. That's like, it don't get no better than that, man.
That's what you told me.
I ain't know how to handle that. That's childhood dreams right there.
Yeah, I hear you. So I made one of your dreams come true.
Boy, did you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you inside the GGN. I'm your host with the most, Finding Nemo, AKA Nemo Hose. And today, I got a real special guest in the house. I'm talking about the one and only cinematographer, director, writer, actor, yes, Ernest Dickerson in the house. What's up, ED?
Good to see you again, man.
Man, it's always a pleasure to see you, loved one. How you been?
Been good. Just, staying busy.
And I see you're still locking up, your hair's still growing, so that means that's your strength, you know that?
Yeah, trying to keep it all.
I see you ain't using no Just for Men either, like myself. We're gonna go with the Sandy White and the salt and pepper look on them, huh?
That's what life does to you, man.
I love it. You looking good, brother. You know it's always good to see you.
Feeling all right.
Looking good. And I understand that y'all celebrated the 25-year anniversary of Juice.
Yep.
With the premiere that y'all did in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, it's finally on Blu-ray.
Thank God
and
for that.
new DVD, and it's completely remastered. And there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on there. There's a lot of interviews, stuff that nobody else has ever seen. Early Tupac stuff, It's great, the four actors together, just, bouncing off each other and laughing at each other and having a good time.
Being friends.
Yeah, the way they really were on set, so.
The first time that I seen that movie, I didn't see it in the theaters. I seen it, me and Pac became friends. And I went to go visit him in Encino. He had a house in Encino, and he was cooking shrimp, and he had his homies over. And I think I came over to sell him some weed or something, and he was like, you seen my movie? I'm like, nah. He like, man, I got a movie, nigga, called Juice. I'm like, nigga, let me see it. And he gave me a big-ass laser disc. Remember them?
Right, yeah.
The square laser?
Do I, yeah.
That's how I watched Juice for the first time. I watched that motherfucker like 100 times. I called all the homies over. I was like, this shit is hard. Where did that story come from for that movie?
It came from a bunch of places. It had been brewing around for a long time, because we wrote the script in 81, 82, but nobody wanted to make it. Nobody wanted to touch it. Everybody said, forget about it. You're never going to get this made. And so it sat on the shelf. But it came from a few places, man. There was a book that I grew up with called Man, Child in the Promised Land, Claude Brown, about this brother growing up in Harlem, young gangster growing up in Harlem in the late 40s, early 50s. And it was just kind of like a lot of what his life was like a lot of what my life was like growing up in Newark, New Jersey, living in the projects in Newark. And so, that always fascinated me. And then when I was working in D.C., I had a summer job at the post office. And you always had to you had to check in by 6:59 a.m. 7 o'clock you were late. It had to be 6:59 a.m. And so I'm on the bus, and this is before the sun comes up. And there were always like these young brothers, these young kids that were like, 9, 10, 11 years old on the bus. It looked like they'd been out all night long, And I was just like, what were they doing all night, What kind of stuff, what kind of shit were they getting into? And I said, there's a movie in that. And so years later, after I got out of NYU Film School, my friend Gerard and I, we decided to write a script, to try and sell ourselves as a writer-director team. So we did that. I had some interviews. I did some interviews with my brother-in-law, who was 17 at the time, and he lived in Harlem. And so a lot of the incidents came from stories
personal
from him and his friends, and I recorded all that. And actually one of them was like 17 years old, and he was having an affair with a 25-year-old divorcee.
That's what the Cindy character.
Yeah, so that's where that came from.
She's still fine.
I ran into her in the supermarket one day.
I did a song with her.
Oh yeah?
Man, just because of that. They get that on the strength.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, who was the gun lady in Juice?
My mother.
What?
The lady that sold Q the Gun?
Yeah.
Sweets, that was my mom. My mom used to live around the corner from Malcolm X. She knew Malcolm back in his Zoot Suit days, you know, when he was Malcolm Little. And I found out that all these people that had been coming to my house over the years, friends of the family, a lot of them were like numbers runners. They had, you know, they were gangsters in some way. So I said, well, wait a minute, you know, I've grown up. My mom knows so many OGs, I know she can play one.
Easy.
You know, so, and she really practiced getting that.
She did that.
Getting that gun right. So, and she acquired a little fan club too. People would come up to her in the street and call her Sweet. So.
What's up, GGN? Right now, we are at the ArcLight here in Hollywood. We're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the iconic movie Juice. Got a packed theater of people inside. Some who have never seen the film in a theater. We're gonna go check it out. We're gonna talk to them about the film, and we're all gonna do it here. Okay, it's so nice to see both Cecilia La Mamacita and Trey D out here with me. Could you guys tell me why it was important to come out tonight?
Well, it was important because actually, you know, growing up in hip hop, this is an iconic movie, so it was important to celebrate the 25th anniversary. But listen, like more importantly, I was like, Trey D from the East Siders definitely has to come out because he ran with Pac, you know what I'm saying? So I was asking Trey, like, how was it seeing Pac on the big screen? Because that's your homeboy.
Yeah, it was really a cinematic experience that I couldn't even anticipate because this is my first time actually really sitting down and watching Juice all the way through because, you know, I grew up in my trials and tribulations. I did a lot of time, you know, behind the wall. So I never really had that opportunity to sit down and relax and really enjoy him as an actor. Like, you know, I seen Gridlocked and, you know, Gang Related and all that. You know, he really did his thing. He was a natural. I really enjoyed watching him, you know, especially at a young age, just seeing how, you know, how they gelled and made the movie really pop like that. So I really appreciate it coming out. I thank you.
Was the first time you guys saw the film in theaters, or was it at home? Like, tell me about that.
I saw it in theaters. I saw it at the drive-in.
Oh, man.
That was no special. It was at high school. But more importantly, more special for me was the soundtrack. The soundtrack was like...
We just saw Juice 25 years after its release. When was the first time you saw Juice?
I don't know when the first time I saw it was, but I know that it was at the theater.
You saw it in theater?
Yeah, and I know that it frightened me so much because we didn't really love Pac then like we do now. He was just coming into his own, and as an actor, you know, it was blowing our mind because we just used to him doing music. And then to play such a villainous role, it like hurt our heart, and it was scary as hell. Like he was frightening, like he needed a hug bad. Like Bishop needed a hug.
How many times have you heard people do the Oochie Coochie dance to you?
Oh man, I mean, you know, it started with Lean on Me. I mean, that's the first time I introduced that line to a character, and it just carried on. It fit perfect in there. So everywhere I go, I'm hearing that. You know, doing the Hoochie Coochie or Don't You Want to Jump? Come on, Steel! Yeah. You know, I hear that all the time.
So let's talk before Juice, working with Spike Lee. What were the cinematography duties like on those classic movies? Because a lot of people, they know that you were a part of it, but they don't know what your role was. What was your actual role with those big Spike Lee movies?
Well, as cinematographer, pretty much my job is, you know, what does the movie look like? You know, how do you set the look of the movie using lenses, using lighting, using color, or lack of, if it's black and white, and how to tell the story visually, you know, with the camera. But, you know, things like in Do the Right Thing, you know, he first hit me with a challenge before we started shooting. He said, I want you to figure out how to get the audience to feel the hottest day of the summer. And for me, it's color, because color affects you. The approach that I took was to just limit the color scheme and do the right thing to yellows, reds, stuff in the warm side to get that. So, little things like that. And then in Mo Better Blues.
Yeah, that lighting was tremendously. Hip hop stole that immediately and started doing all their videos like that.
Thank you. I mean, yeah.
Immediately. And what about School Days?
School Days was, we were just trying to get back to like the old MGM musical kind of a thing, Because musicals had changed when Flashdance came out. Because the dance was always edited. You only saw body parts with Flashdance. But classical dance is about the human body and how it fits in a frame, which would be the stage, or in our case, the frame of the film. So we wanted to do an old-fashioned musical, because quiet as it's kept, Spike is an expert on MGM musicals. His mother used to take him to see it all the time.
Because that movie right there, it made every kid in my neighborhood wanted to go to a black college. Like, for real. We didn't want to go to no regular college. We wanted to go to a black college, and because it was inspirational. Because we had, where I'm from, out here in California, there are no black colleges.
No.
They don't even tell you that they exist. So it was like, that was our first information on it, and it looked so fun the way y'all captured the essence of the fraternities and the sororities and the discrepancies with the dark skin, the light skin, and all of the shit that we go through in life, and y'all made it, that shit was beautiful, man.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that paper bag test. That there were parties where if you were darker than a paper bag, you did not get in. That was shit that we did to ourselves over there, so.
And then I heard you had something to do with surviving the game.
Yeah, a little bit.
For real?
Yeah.
I like that movie when they did Ice-T like that, and he made it. I like the fact that he made it.
Yeah, that was, it was great working with Ice, man. He was,
that was a dope story.
He was cool.
So it seems that you and rappers have a great chemistry on screen. So moving forward to Jimmy Bones, my first starring role, what did you see in me that made you know that I can handle that role?
Just looking at you over the years, man, and just your form, and your face. I thought you had the perfect look, and I just thought that as a gangster from the '70s who's reincarnated today, I thought you could do that. Plus, I did some checking around, bro. I did some checking. I talked to some people that have worked with you, and they told me about your work ethic. And yeah, that was real.
What was my work ethic like back then?
It was you were in it, man. You knew what you were doing. You were there on time every day.
Y'all hear that?
Yeah, every day. And I know you were blunting, but
what about my lines?
You had them. You had them. What's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene in Bones would be probably the turn when we were at the table and they brought in the dudes that tried to turn me into getting with the cocaine transition.
Well, I have the storyboards for that right here.
Oh, wow.
But also, I found out that we had your script in our garage.
What?
And that's a piece of your script, and check it out, man.
Tupac, Las Vegas Hospital.
And you got notes on the next page, yeah.
Wow. Man, where y'all get this from?
My wife found it, man. She said we had it in there. Because you left and you left it behind. When you left a little bit early, you left a lot of stuff behind. That and about an ounce of weed.
Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure that's gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we were singing your praises.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that shit left immediately. This stuck around, but that disappeared immediately.
Yeah.
This is brilliant right here, man.
But also, I got some stuff for you, man.
I got the juice.
A Blu-ray. That's
because this ain't the version that Tupac gave me was this motherfucking big, dude.
Now it's
the laser disc. Remember that motherfucker? That shit was huge.
Yeah.
This is sharp.
Now it's the Blu-ray.
Khalil.
And I got some
vintage
pictures.
Vintage. That's Jimmy Bones right there, man. That's vintage. That is vintage right there. I remember that day, man. I was walking down the streets. Rose had my hair on. You know what I'm talking about? Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Hair game was on impeccable. This rappers and film, what do you see the similarities in that?
Well, you know, there's always been, you know, musicians, you know, singers doing films. I mean, you know, Nat King Cole used to do movies. Elvis Presley did movies, you know. I think it's, you know, that you're a performer. You know how to project your personality out there to a crowd. Mostly it's the experience, the first experience for you is to a crowd, to an audience, you know, in a concert setting, you know, or a club setting. But doing the same thing, but pulling it back a little bit, doing it for the camera, making it more real, and, you know, being yourself.
What do you think about the films that are coming out of late from black filmmakers like Get Out?
Well, I love Get Out. I love Get Out, you know. So, yeah, it's some good stuff coming out, you know, mostly like on the independents and stuff, but I want to see stuff like Black Panther.
Yeah.
I want to, you know.
Yeah, that's a Marvel, right?
Yeah, I want to see Chad Boseman do his thing.
Right.
Because that's a young brother on the rise.
Yeah.
You know, and so I want to see what they do with that. And, but I think, you know, the future of film is with the independents, man. You know, it's, you know, like that movie Moonlight, you know, that was an independent little movie for like $3 million. And doing stuff like what you got going here, man. I love this show. I love this show.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You know, Rose and I sit over, we watching it, and we were cracking up, man. It's really, it was really nice seeing Charlie Murphy, man.
Right.
You know.
And that was my dog, man. Come on now. And that's what this show is about. It's about, like, putting everybody in a position where they don't feel threatened when they come on here. You know, most shows you come on, we want to ask you a trick question. And so what happened with the thing that happened over there, and when you went to jail, and when you did that? No, we don't bring up none of that shit. We over here on some, man, what's happening, how you doing, what we doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that was the whole purpose of me creating this show.
It just hit me a couple of months ago. Damn, 25 years since Juice came out. That was
25 years, that's like Hall of Fame numbers. And it's still talked about, it's still in demand. Because the story, like you said, it came from an authentic place. It came from real people and real scenarios to where it could live. We identify with it out here on the West, regardless if Tupac was from the West. You get what I'm saying? Because the story was so dope. And the fact that he was from the West and he played that part, it just made us more, you know, comfortable with knowing, like, wow, I got homies that I hang out with just like that every day. And sometimes they do be acting funny like that, and it could get out of hand and where something could accidentally happen like that. Based off of, it's always two people in the crew that don't really like each other.
Yeah, Pac was, you know, he was great, man. But he was fun, man. He was so much fun.
That's what people don't know.
You know, he was,
they don't
and he had
know
a great sense of humor about himself. Because, you know, he
loved to talk about people. He loved to crack jokes.
Yeah. Well, you know, when on here, you know, the interview with the four guys together, they're just, you know,
back and forth,
messing with each other, you know, laughing and talking. But, you know, there was some funny things that happened on the set of Juice. But, you know, Snoop, the thing that really kind of like makes me wonder, he always had a notebook. And a lot of times in between setups, he would sit over in the corner and he'd be writing. And you just wonder if some of that was some music, the music that we wound up hearing later on, you know?
That's probably what it was, because he was ahead of the game, man. Like, even with me, like, we was friends, and then once he got on Death Row, we became brothers. And he was like the kind of brother that he lead by example, so his work ethic was way more harder than mine. Like, he was way more different than me, because I was like, I maybe do one song a week. He'd do like 2 songs a day. And then the songs would, you know, they would be dope songs, so it wasn't like he just was making bullshit, he was making hot shit. So it was like pushing me to the limit by not saying it, but just showing it. Like, you know, you can be a reflection by being right next to somebody you can rub off for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. I know we both had a great time working with him, and, you know, he showed me a whole lot, you know, on screen, off screen, and in the studio, you know what I'm saying? It was like a pleasure and a treat to experience that with him. If you was able to work with him one more time, what would you do?
I don't know. Because he was capable of so many things. I mean, you know, that's the tragedy, is that when he left us, he was starting to branch out into different roles. I don't know, man. You know, sky's the limit, really.
What about Malcolm X?
What, any rappers in Malcolm X, you mean?
Nah, did you work on that?
Yeah, a little bit.
You always say a little bit, Ernest. I don't know what a little bit means. This motherfucker be saying, yeah, I did a little bit. I come to find out, that nigga shot the whole movie. He did this, he did that. What the fuck is little bit, man?
He should have been nominated for an Oscar for shooting Malcolm X.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, come on, man. That movie was the most powerful black movie ever made in history.
Thank you. Yeah.
You got to know that part right there, man.
That was a fulfillment of a dream, man.
And is those stories true about how he had to get the money from, like, all those the people with all the money that, you know what I'm saying, that Hollywood wouldn't give him no money?
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah. They were fucking with him, man. I mean, they just fucked with us all the way. They didn't want us to go to Egypt. They wanted
green screen this shit, huh?
Yeah, like on the beaches of New Jersey, you know. Well, there's sand there, so you can just use the sand of the beaches of New Jersey and do matte paintings for the rest of it. You know, you don't need to go to South Africa to meet Nelson Mandela. You don't have to do all that. They didn't want to do it. And they got the ultimate revenge on Spike because, you know, in press, he was calling them the plantation, you know, and so...
That's amazing how dope that movie came out, all the shit y'all had to go through.
Yeah.
What's the worst and the best thing about being a director?
The worst thing is getting up at 4:30 in the morning. The hardest part of the day is getting from the bed to the shower. After I get out the shower, I'm okay.
Right.
But it's like putting that first foot out and climbing out, and then, you know.
You should try to roll over, the rollover technique. That's when you roll over and smoke a blunt. And then you get up.
You know, I'll tell you, man, I only smoked weed one time and went to work. And I was so paranoid. I don't smoke too much. I do edibles.
I can't do that. I don't have no control. Don't have no on or off button when I eat edibles. I be looking for the light switch. That motherfucker's nowhere near.
Yeah.
I don't want no parts of it. But we inside the Smoker Studio, AKA Everyday People, real nigga shit. I'm gonna ask you some questions and you can answer to the best of your ability.
Okay.
What's the first thing you do or think of when you wake up?
Thank you.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Tacos or burgers?
Tacos.
Black and white or color?
Oh, definitely color.
What are your favorite pair of shoes of all time?
Sneakers. Or you call them tennis shoes here. But we still call them sneakers back east.
This nigga said tennis shoes. Ernest, what's your favorite thing to cook?
Fish, salmon. I smoke a mean salmon.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
Working at the post office. The Washington, D.C. post office.
I retired from the post office.
One summer. You retired from the post office? Yeah, I did that for the summer.
If you were stuck on an island for a whole year and could only listen to 3 albums, what would they be?
Okay. One of them would definitely be Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. Another one would probably be A Love Supreme by John Coltrane. And another one would probably be Electric Ladyland, Jimi Hendrix.
Got to have Jimmy. If you could remake any movie and star in it, what would it be?
Star in it?
Change roles.
I don't know, Black Caesar.
Fred Williamson? then you would have to come back to be hell up in Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's my lane right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
To fly.
Fly?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you want?
Yep.
How high would you fly?
As high as I could get, and still be breathing, you know? Yeah, and I think to fly would be the ultimate, man. Just be able to just jump up and just keep on going.
What is your favorite cereal of all time?
Believe it or not, when I used to eat cereal, I used to love shredded wheat.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
Because you know, shredded wheat, man, as it stays in the milk for a while and starts to get nice and soggy, you know, and it gave a nice sweet taste to the milk.
Ain't that the one that Mikey used to eat? That's the one Mikey used to eat, right? Give it to Mikey, he'll eat it. We need to have some sugar, man. If you get cereal, you're supposed to be sugared all the way up. Fruit Loops, Apple Jacks, Honeycomb, Captain Crunch, Dig 'em Smacks.
You know, the sugared cereals, I'll tell you, my cousin years ago ruined that for me, man, because he would make Lucky Charms and put sugar on it. He would put sugar on Lucky Charms.
Now I'm gonna go to this section of the show called Finish the Sentence. I'm gonna start it, you finish it. I always wake up
happy.
If I could work with anybody dead or alive, I'd want to work with
Tupac.
If I could see anybody perform dead or alive, I'd want to see
Prince.
I look for blank in a woman.
Intelligence.
My favorite position is?
Favorite position?
Mm-hmm.
Which, sexual or?
I didn't ask all that. I just said my answer the goddamn finish the sentence. My favorite position is?
Okay, on top.
Okay, see, they got a dirty mind.
No,
you could have said
not necessarily.
Behind the camera, in front of the camera, point guard, wide receiver.
But actually on top is, you know, on top being the leader of the crew, the director.
Okay,
that's
now
on
clean
top,
this shit up, Ernest.
You know?
Clean this shit on up. Clean this shit up. My name is Ernest Dickerson, and I am a
filmmaker.
Yes, he is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to thank my special guest, Ernest Dickerson, for sliding by the GGN News Network. Be sure to go pick up the 25th anniversary, yes sir, of the movie Juice. Hottest movie ever made in the 90s, you better know it. Starring Tupac, Omar Epps, my nephew Khalil, and Lil Jermaine Hopkins. You remember him? He was Sims and Lean on Me too. You smoke crack, don't you? Don't you?